It was important for me when trying to design the car and trying to build it that I didn't want to engineer out any of the classic elements. It's the first of the air-cooled bodies with the last of the air-cooled engines. It's a classic early 911, pre-1974, an original long bonnet, and there's no way I would, even with an unlimited budget, try and engineer any of that, any of the essence of that early 911 out of this car. I'd seen a car at Goodwood Festival of Speed by a friend of mine from Theon Porsche, Adam, and I thought this was the coolest looking car I'd ever seen, and he had a badass looking 911 as well, and turned out it was more money than I could afford, so I thought maybe I could build one of them myself. So immediately jumped onto the internet and started searching, and found a donor car and didn't understand why I liked it. I just thought the lines on it were really cool, and it was pre any knowledge that I had of 911s and Porsches. And now that I know a lot more about them, I understand that it was a pre-1974 car with a long bonnet, and those are the lines. It's the original 901 Porsche lines that I really loved about the car. So I got that and took the plunge and decided to jump into trying to create something that I had dreamt up in my mind, and actually the design evolved as the car moved along. Essentially, we've got G-series front suspension, a G50 gearbox in there from a 1989 Carrera, a 993 engine with lightweight pistons and a slightly modified cam, which probably gives us about 300 brake horsepower in a car that weighs just under a ton. So it's got plenty of power. There's quite a usable power to weight ratio, and especially when you consider that it's a 48-year-old car, you end up with a lot of power for a 48-year-old car. At the same time as this car was being made, the UK was producing things like Morris Minors, the Little Woody, and compared to the English cars that British Leyland were producing, I mean, this thing was to just look like a spaceship. Oshe is an African god of thunder, so I try to bring some of the inspiration from that and from my background into what is essentially a 911, and Workshop 77 was a couple of guys who, through circumstances, we found ourselves able to come together and form our workshop. Three young guys who are actually very good mechanics, very competent, very capable, have cut their teeth in the motorsport racing world up in Daventry, actually, on classic cars. And I have a lot of faith and trust in their skills and their abilities, and they're proving themselves invaluable even in the short period of time that we've been together. The whole approach, I think initially from my point of view, was to try and have fun, and that if we were having fun and trying to do cool projects and stuff that we were enthusiastic about, that the good work would sort of come out as a result.
There she goes. Bingo. Right, should we lower her down and take these dampers off? Yeah.
I happened to be down at Porsche Silverstone yesterday having a look at some of their modern cars, and they incredible engineering, incredible cars, but they've engineered out all of the classic elements and the reason that I like classic cars. They're no longer that dangerous. They're no longer smell of petrol when you jump in them, and that's not cool. Guys talk about RVDP, the real visceral driving pleasure, and that really is something you get from driving one of these classic early 911s. The modern cars lack a certain element of soul for me. They lack a uniqueness, which there's a phrase that people throw around saying, "built, not bought," and it sounds a little pretentious to say it, but there is an element to that where you've created this little thing yourself, and it's completely unique. It will not touch on performance levels anywhere near what any of the modern day Porsches do. Even the bottom of the range, lowest powered, I mean, that'll just walk all over this car of mine in the performance department, but that's not what it's about for me. It's not about going fast as possible. It's about something that's a little bit cool. It's about something that's a little bit unique, and an element, even despite the fact that my car is pretty heavily modified, where you're preserving a bit of history.